Welcome to Sewing Chatter. I'm Kristen. Well, this week's makes were not quite what I was hoping for. I had my long list, hoping for the best, but unfortunately, I ended up putting out my neck. It is surprising to me how your back can affect everything. It was almost impossible to get much done this week. Everything hurt. So yes, I'm whining a little bit, but such as it is. I did, however, get a little bit done this week. I got started on one project. So my first project is a wall quilt because there's this empty spot right here that desperately needs something. And so I'm working on what's called a half square triangle pattern. I know, this is all new to me. I haven't done a lot of quilting. The only quilting I've done is like a scrappy strip quilting, so it didn't matter if things lined up properly. It was just kind of add pieces and hope for the best. This, I thought, okay, I can handle a real pattern. Now the cool thing with half square triangles is that you can change the pattern however you want. Check out, there's a website called Coffee Ring Studio that has a half square pattern where they show a lot of the different configurations of how you can organize it, because that was new to me. I didn't realize that one piece could do so many different things. For making this, I have used Kona jelly rolls. So they come in lots of fun colors. I love these colors, they're really bright, as well as these ones. I've got lots of, oh, and I've got a gray, because that's where this came from, but every shade of gray you can come up with, which I love. So I got the Kona jelly rolls from Joann's down in the States. It's always a little bit exciting to go to the States just to go to Joann's. I know a lot of Americans are like, whatever, it's Joann's, I want something better. I'm like, no, it's Joann's, I love it. Anyway, moving on. So what I did with this particular one, in order to get these half square triangles, you see that how it's like, literally, they're little triangles that then open up into nice cute little squares, is I followed what's called the tube method. Now, the tube method is very interesting to me because you literally, with the jelly roll, it gets really easy. You spread them out, stitch them down each side, and then you take, I have a Quilt in a Day ruler, which then I can just slice each of my triangles out. They come out like this, so like that, and then you get a whole bunch. I've included a link to the Clever Quilt Studio because they've got a great video on how to actually do this. This is my first try at this, so I don't want to take any attempt at trying to show someone how to do this. I am definitely still learning. What I really like is that I can keep changing it. Here's one sad thing though. I'm literally one colored piece away from doing the perfect matching pattern. You'll notice when you look at my pattern, there is a coral piece of fabric here. And over in this corner and around here is blue. No matter how I rearranged this, I was short either a couple of these or a couple of these. So apparently I needed to do 2 sets of strips of the coral and 2 sets of strips of the blue, but then I would have had too many because I wanted a fairly small quilt. Oh well, I figured I'm just gonna have one quirky corner and we'll go with it. Like this poor quirky corner. It should be blue, but it's coral. Now, the one thing that I'm struggling with is trying to find the precision. I have a very hard time getting it to look really sharp where they match up. Now, I realize that some of that is just practice and doing it over and over again, but I feel like there's a trick. I feel like there's got to be a trick I'm missing. Now, admittedly, maybe it'll look better once I've fully pressed it, but right now it's good. And once I get it all together, it'll probably look even better. But right now, I'm a little concerned. We'll see. Each strip, I will have to look at and assess how we're doing here. Anyway, that was the one thing I got started. And I got one other thing done this week. Ooh. Okay, so there is a lot of debris from my fabric, including this shirt. This poor shirt has suffered badly. I should be a little bit more careful about which items actually come in here that I wear, because sweaters do not fare well with all my little bits of fabric. But I made a cute sweater. quite happy with this one. It is a Made for Mermaids pattern. The pattern is called Aspen. Now it's got some neat features. It's got bishop sleeves. I'm quite excited about those. I haven't made them before, so that's a new one on me. I had to actually gather before I could attach the cuff. I've never done that at a wrist. So I've done, on the edges of sleeves or the tops of bodices, but I've never done it on a sleeve, so that was new. But I think it turned out rather well. As well, for this particular one, I graded between two sizes. Now the thing that always throws me a little bit with Made for Mermaid patterns is that they have color sizing. Now I get that they're trying to avoid people being like, oh no, that's not my size. I'm usually a 12, not a 14. I don't really have that problem. Like, I can be anywhere from a medium to an double XL in shirts, so it doesn't bother me. It's vanity sizing. So it just makes it really hard for me to remember which sizes I've done in Made for Mermaid patterns, particularly since I have to grade them a fair bit. I'm about 2 sizes wider at the bottom than at the top, so this one I had to go up 2 sizes. I have no idea what they are because they are colors, so they're kind of meaningless amounts. So you really have to go by measurements really well with Made for Mermaid patterns. You really got to pay attention to the measurements, which you should anyway, but that's the one bonus of doing it by color, is that it forces you to check the measurements. Never assume you think you know what size you are when you're sewing. Now I'm quite excited about the fabric. It's a really cozy sweater fabric. I found it at Fabricland sometime before Christmas. It's been sitting there waiting for me. What I do like is that everything, we've got a banded waistband, we've got cuffs, we've got a neckband, so there was no hemming to be found here. I mean, honest, hemming is not my favorite. I have yet to find a foolproof way to hem yet, or a way that looks really finished. I'm still debating as to whether I will top stitch the neckband to kind of give it a more finished look, but right now I'm going to leave it and try to style it and see how it goes from there. Now one thing, I do have a serger. I did everything on my serger. I have not cleaned up the inside yet because it's been that kind of a week. And what I do is I use a 3-thread serger. I don't use the 4th thread. I came across, I'm trying to remember what the site was called, but they basically said that the 3 threads should actually be more stretchy and have more give to it than 4, because the 4 makes it tighter and more sturdy, which is more likely to snap. So so far I haven't had a problem with doing that, but who knows? Maybe it won't work next time. One thing I do always struggle with is finishing the serged edged, because you always end up with this thread that hangs off the end, and you have to do something with it, otherwise it'll completely unravel. Typically what I do is I put it on my sewing machine and I pin it down and I stitch it, just tack it down. Now I do know that some people take a needle and thread it right through itself, like through the threads. I find that very tedious. I can't be bothered to do that. But I'd love if you have any ideas as to another better way to do it that would be more efficient, let me know in the comments, because I am constantly trying to figure out a better way to finish my serging. Now, the one thing I do love is I've got this soft serger thread. I got it from Joann's. I believe it's called Maxi Lock, and it is super soft, which I like because I find a lot of serger thread can really chafe inside, which is surprising because it shouldn't do that. But I find that my kids, when I do their clothes, they much prefer this thread. The only thing that makes it a little tricky is it's a little fuzzier when you're trying to put it through your machine. So that sometimes takes a little bit more, lick and stick, and hopefully it works without shredding into pieces. But overall, I really like this thread. The one downfall that I made concerning my thread is, I'm hoping you can see it from here, I used a light gray thread. I always have gray thread in my serger. Typically, I change the needle thread from light gray to dark gray and back and forth. I didn't bother changing it this time. As I said, this week has been a week, painful week. So I didn't bother doing that. And I kind of wish I had, because I think the dark thread, the dark needle thread would have disappeared better into it, because there's some spots where if you pull it, you can see a little bit of the light gray. Overall, I don't think it's going to matter in this piece. Everything's covered. and it's a fairly loose fitting pattern. So it won't, there's no major stretch points where you're going to see it. But just for my own, every one time when you're looking at the neckline going, ugh, that stands out an awful lot. I wish I'd switched to darker thread. But, next time when I'm feeling better, I'll switch my threads out. I'm not always the best at that. I sometimes mean to, but I don't always get around to it. Now, the one thing that did slow me up a bit this week too was somehow I managed to misplace my neckband pattern. Now I tend to use, I use tissue paper because I printed out on the big A0 pattern pieces, and then I use the pattern tissue copy paper and get my pieces from there. Well, somewhere in my sewing room is a neckband piece. I don't know where. Now, the one thing that was a problem though is that the pattern does not come with a cut chart where it just shows, wristband pieces, what to measure them at, a neckband, waistband, because I really like it when they give you a measurement so you can just cut off, 24 by 2 inches sort of thing. I have a rotary cutter, I have rulers, so that's a lot faster for me. I do know that the pattern pieces work really well for people who still use scissors for cutting, but I haven't used scissors in years. I use scissors for some stuff, but 99% of the time, it's on my rotary cutter and on my mat. So yeah, in the future, that's one thing I would like to see more of, is cut charts so that I can not copy out those particular parts of the pattern. I'm hoping tomorrow when there's better lighting to get a video of styling this particular shirt, seeing how I can dress it up and make it look, as though it was not a handmade shirt, a store-bought shirt, make it stylish and fabulous. Thank you for joining me on Sewing Chatter. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe below to get all of my videos.